So when you imagine yourself as an older, what do you, and this is not the question I'm leading up to, what do you think are the phone calls that you get the most of? Well, from Bay Creek, it's speeding. Can't you slow the drivers down? So we have a long-standing concern in our neighborhood. We have two major, well, we have multiple, but we have two that really a lot of residents live on Lakeside and Olin. So what are your thoughts about how you might address speeding in our neighborhood?
Well, I called Mark Winter at Traffic Engineering and asked him what the options were. So Mark Winter at Traffic Engineering said, if you want to have traffic calming devices, which are these islands, then you have to get a petition with 50% of the people saying that they want it, and then the city does a study that counts the number of crossings, not just cars, but pedestrians and bikes and so on. And
50% of what, Sue?
50% of the residents, and I don't know how big an area, but like a guy on Gilson Street between Olin and Lakeside was complaining about the traffic there. So like, I think the people on that long block, if half of them sign a petition saying we want some kind of traffic calming, that sort of initiates the process. And then they study it to see whether it's practical, and I think that there's a waiting time for that too. I asked about stop sign. He said, well, if you're going to have a stop sign, it would be best at Hickory and not at Gilson, although Gilson maybe has more traffic, but since it doesn't meet up. I mean, on Hickory, it's a four-way. But the problem there is that if they put a stop sign in where there isn't enough cross traffic, then people tend to disregard it. They have rolling stops, and that's a bad thing. He said, we're like training drivers to flout the law. So they also have this whole study process for what they go through when that's requested. And I guess an alder can ask for this study to be done. He wasn't totally sure about that. Also, I asked my friend Melissa Huggins, and she pointed out that on Monroe Street, one of the effective things that has reduced the speed of traffic there is having these crossing places with flags. So there is a little island there, which mostly just holds a yield sign, but also just having people cross the street all the time sort of gets people clued in, that this is going to happen and that you need to slow down here.
Thank you. TJ, we'll just go on.
First off, in the process, my block went through the process to get speed bumps put on it like about 3-4 years ago. A neighbor initiated it, and there's still. I'm on Gilson, and Gilson is still a problem with traffic and with speeding, but it was relatively effective. As far as Olin goes, I live right around the corner from Olin, cross it very often. I think that the traffic calming with the islands and the narrowing of the lanes that went through when the bridge was taken out and the pool was put in, I think there's actually been relatively effective and perhaps could be extended a little bit further. I think Olin is a major thoroughfare and will remain one. Lakeside's a different story. Lakeside is more residential than Olin, and Lakeside also has a school on it, so there's the dangers around that. And I would definitely support traffic calming, perhaps through narrowing islands. I don't think speed bumps are appropriate for Lakeside, but Lakeside is problematic. Olin, I think it's pretty good these days, and you can disagree with me, but that's my impression.
Thank you, TJ. Michael?
Well, I own a fleet of vans, and I drive one of them. That's part of what I do all day long. And the one thing that makes me aware of, the speed limit and all that is police presence. And I think they do a pretty good job on the weekends patrolling the area. But during the week, especially at night, I think maybe boost up the police presence, would be definitely worth the expenditure. Also, one thing that I've noticed that makes me aware how fast I'm going is the automated radar signs that tell you exactly how fast you're going. And, you're always going to have some people that are going to be disrespectful and speed, whether they know it or not. Them people, like I said, the police have to deal with them. But the radar signs, you know, they make me aware of it, and I think that if you had them out here, especially if you staggered them, different spots every single week, you know, not in the same spot, it maybe curve, you know, to where it'd be a little bit safer neighborhood.
I can say that it's never even crossed my mind to go past the legal speed limit. However, I've talked to a few people that it has. But for the most part, I think that they do that because that it's not a regulated, because they think they can get away with it, basically. We need a better police force, not just for speeding, for a lot of things, for safety, for pedestrians, for the kids, for everything. Another thing, I wouldn't speed down a street that had a lot of child safety signs, and I think we need to budget the fact that we need to let drivers know that this is a place with schools and with a lot of small children in it, and that really they're not just endangering themselves, they're endangering a lot of other people, a lot of innocent people. As a whole, we need to make Madison a lot more pedestrian safety conscious. There needs to be maybe wider sidewalks, better greens along those streets, where you can see that there's something going on, where people are walking along, people are doing their business, and people are just making the neighborhood the neighborhood. I think that would distract or keep speeders from being out of that neighborhood.